Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Ginger WrestleCast. And today we're going to talk about the discussion that probably makes Vince McMahon wake up at night, fearing it more and more as he continues to think of new ways to just completely be wild on his own shows. And that is the recent issues that have been going on with wrestlers being let go and with the third-party policies that have been enacted by WWE. So if you've not been paying attention, a very shocking release from the WWE was Zelina Vega was let go from the company, stating that she just would not follow the new policy, which states that WWE wrestlers on the main brands on Raw and SmackDown were not allowed anymore to have third-party app control of their accounts. They had to turn them over to WWE, or depending on which account it was, they had to completely delete it, get rid of it, stop using it. And with Zelina Vega, she'd had a couple accounts at Cameo as well as Twitch and YouTube with her and her husband, Aleister Black, as well as she just recently had opened up a while ago, not recently, but a while ago, she'd opened up a OnlyFans account, which she strictly was just displaying cosplay content, maybe risque shots here and there, but nothing nudity-wise, which actually that's why I have my phone out with me today, because I wanted to read what exactly is, because I had to look it up because I forgot that the name on it is not exactly her name. But strictly speaking, under Mega Mix, no nudes, read bio for prices on personalized photo sets, everything is non-refundable. Exclusive and some never before seen photos and videos of my cosplays, lingerie, swimsuits, and more. She goes on to state stuff like how you can buy personalized photos from her, as well as going into the copyright claim for her content. But strictly speaking, the OnlyFans account was being created so that way she could find another outlet in order to sell her content for cosplay and lingerie shots that she's done in the past for fans, which my brother put it in the best way. I think the right way to make an OnlyFans account, which is hilarious itself, but criticism comes with the whole third-party policy that's been affecting wrestlers, because strictly speaking, besides what they make on the shows from their contracts from WWE, they have no other revenue streams, which is why wrestlers who really aren't that top star in WWE have started doing Twitch streams and cameos, whatever other ways in order to make more money on the side. Now, WWE has come forward. One of the reasons why they wanted people to stop doing the third-party ban was simply because Vince McMahon was upset about the way that people were using their names that he created for them on this content, doing stuff that in his eyes he just didn't approve of, which in its own way is weird, because in most cases some of the names that these people are using are their own names they've created before they even came to the main brand itself. But in another crazy stint to it, they also stated with WWE that the wrestlers themselves should be financially fine without having to go to these third-party apps, and because they are not traveling around as much, they should have more money from what they've used contract-wise. Now, if you don't know what I'm generally talking about how much a wrestler makes, please go check out Last Week Tonight with John Oliver when he does a full investigative report about WWE and what these wrestlers have to go through. But to give you kind of a general consensus about it, wrestlers themselves pay their dues, or what is known in the wrestling community as paying your dues, which is essentially in the WWE, they are only an independent contractor. WWE does not pay for their travel, their medical bills, their hotel rooms. So back before the pandemic, when WWE wrestlers were going around and traveling throughout the states, WWE did not pay for their hotel rooms, their cars, any food that they got while on the road while working these shows, they have to pay for it themselves, which in turn they write it off as a business tax write-off when their taxes come around. So aka big time tax refund coming back to them from everything that they've spent business-wise. Now this can be taxing for a lot of WWE wrestlers because, like I've stated before, not everyone on the WWE main roster has a big time contract. There are varying contracts, money value wise, that each of these wrestlers have. And for some of them, it can be darn right expensive to the point to where they are just not generally able to afford things, having to ride share with other wrestlers, carpooling, sharing hotel rooms, food, and even going and trying to do anything that they can off to the side in order to make more money, either, getting sponsored by a clothing brand or one of the athletic companies that they support for their own nutrition. This can be taxing for a lot of wrestlers because, they have to have these third-party vendors as well as these third-party apps that they're going through so that way they can keep themselves afloat while doing this. Now, truth be told, yes, it is great that, most of these wrestlers are having to just go to one show in one state and not having to travel around now, which I believe is saving people a good amount of money. But it's just the other little teeny incy bits of things that realistically don't make any sense why it's not covered by these wrestlers. Now, this has happened for years with the wrestling industry. Even Mick Foley has stated more than once that when he would go to different cities and travel to them, he would actually legitimately sleep on fans' couches so that way he wouldn't have to pay for a hotel room. And there's even wackier stories than that most WWE wrestlers had to do in order to keep themselves afloat while still working under the WWE banner. And that brings me to my main point, which is the one thing that Vince McMahon, the one word besides tag team wrestling and giving women's division an actual chance, it is the word unionization. Now, it's been brought up before. And shot down so quickly and firing and terminating anyone that talks about it within the company itself. This being the case with Zelina Vega. With Zelina Vega creating the OnlyFans account, they stated that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And creating a content page like this on a site where, OnlyFans does have the reputation of having people displaying adult content on it. But there are other presenters and entertainers that do have OnlyFans accounts that are not presenting any adult content whatsoever. So I'm trying to be unbiased about this and understand it from a corporate stance. Yes, as far as OnlyFans is concerned, they do have adult content on there, which with them being a PG environment wrestling show, they do want to keep that away from the limelight that the wrestlers are doing accounts like this. But at the same time, the fact that literally and figuratively they're not paying the wrestlers enough in order to keep them from having to do third-party apps such as Twitch, OnlyFans, and Cameo should be enough to say in itself. And with unionization, this would help fix this problem for a lot of wrestlers. Because in all entirety, the fact that they have to pay for their own hotel rooms, car, food, everything else that's not under WWE's roof at the time, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that this company hasn't even done this before in the first place. So one of the big things with Zelina Vega going off to is that there was a bit of Twitter a couple tweets that came from Zelina Vega that were interesting, stating, I support unionization. Even before she was let go, her husband Aleister Black, as well as other wrestlers, sat down with Vince McMahon to explain why it was that they were using these apps in order to make the money that they do, only to have that conversation completely blown out of the water, apparently, and still told that they had to do what Vince McMahon is telling them to do. Very disheartening in a lot of ways. So this has drawn the attention of a lot of people in the political sphere, and this is where I believe WWE is going to have a very serious problem, especially going into this next presidency. One person in particular, Andrew Yang, is definitely wanting to get involved into this, especially into the next presidency. He has stated more than once that if he does gain some political power or a political seat in the next presidency, which has been talked about for a good little bit, that he is going to fight to advocate for WWE wrestlers as far as unionization goes, or generally just for better pay, better working environment, better coverage of everything that they're having to deal with while being a WWE wrestler. Now, there are those in WWE that are split on this decision. You have pretty much the main stars who know Vince McMahon on a personal basis. They're his golden children. They're the ones probably getting pushed the most on the show, that are not a big fan of the idea of Vince McMahon getting pushed on a subject like this. But then you have other wrestlers who, former wrestlers, as well as wrestlers who have competed, which it's shocking me I'm saying wrestlers, knowing that if Vince McMahon ever heard me say this, he would be like, superstars. But anyways, former wrestlers, and I want to bring up Lio Rush for a moment. Lio Rush, who I believe is an amazing wrestler, an amazing person altogether, definitely had his little bit of a mental breakdown on his social media, stating situations of, I don't have money to be able to deal with this, the fact that I'm not able to wrestle for other brands, or simply a lot of the stuff that I'm doing under the WWE banner is constantly under control, is driving me nuts to a great degree. And this was on an Instagram Live a good while ago, which can be upsetting for fans because they want to do a lot to help these guys that put their literal bodies and lives on the line whenever they're competing and doing these shows, especially with some of the crazy stunts that they do from time to time depending on the match. Now, another big deal, like I've stated, is Andrew Yang wanting to get involved about unionization, as well as SAG-AFTRA. Now, if you don't know what SAG-AFTRA is, it is the Screen Actors Guild. It is one of the biggest unions for screen actors, television producers. I'm gonna pull up my phone here because I want to get all of it. The Screen Actors Guild, an American federation of television and radio artists, is an American labor union representing approximately 160,000 film, television actors, journalists, radio personalities, recording artists, singers, voice actors, and other media professionals worldwide. Now, if you don't understand what a union does, it's pretty simple. A union is an organization created by workers, run by workers, nobody of a management position in a company itself, only workers that simply do everything that they can to advocate for better pay, better working environment, better conditions altogether for anyone working. Now you're probably asking, SAG-AFTRA is a Screen Actors Guild. They cover media or actors or television producers or screenwriters. So what does that have to do with WWE? Well, it's simply the fact that, I mean, even though Vince McMahon likes to call them superstars, they're really performers. They do work and do a job, which is a performative art. paint it whatever way that you can. That's the thing. And I get it. Here's the whole discussion about, oh my gosh, is he talking about wrestling is fake? It is not fake by any means. And some of the stunts and some of the spots that they do in a lot of crazy matches over the years would make your head spin, wondering how some of these guys are the toughest in the world. But they should be treated with the respect that they deserve from doing said spots, which is why I'm happy that SAG-AFTRA is wanting to step into this. Because going back to Zelina Vega, talking about her OnlyFans account, as much as I want to state that, you know, maybe we shouldn't have done an OnlyFans account, I think that it's only fair that as a person, if this is the contract they're under where they are having to create accounts on Twitch and Cameo or OnlyFans to release content they make on the side in order to make money besides wrestling, because if they get injured during wrestling in the WWE, they're pretty much out on their ass for quite a while, having to cover their own medical expenses, their own bills. So to have stuff like this in the background where they're able to work on it, create this content, and have a revenue stream coming in, even when they're not working shows for the WWE, I think is a very, very important thing. Now, this is where I believe WWE really needs to step up in the coming year. I do believe that Andrew Yang is going to advocate for these people. And I do believe that we are finally reaching that boiling point in the WWE, especially with statements that Paige has made, as far as tweets talking about her talking to union representatives and other wrestlers asking out of their contracts to no longer work under the WWE banner. Luke Harper, who now is freaking amazing as Brody Lee under AEW. Leo Rush taking off from his own contract. He's now in Primetime Wrestling and doing amazing at that as well. And then you have other wrestlers who were just simply let go that are still frolicking even more and having complete control of their character. EC3 being a big time one of those guys that I am super happy about, and the Good Brothers too. But mainly speaking, I really do feel that a lot of these wrestlers do need proper union control, and they do need control over their own work environment and their own work safe conditions. So I would like to hear from you guys as far as what you feel about this subject. Please feel free to leave a comment down below, like the video, please subscribe to my channel. I will continue to promote more wrestle videos such as this. I even talk about mental health issues. That is what you get on my channel, and I really appreciate you guys for listening today. Thank you. I'll talk to you next time.